afternoon, everyone. My name is Zainab, and I am going to touch a topic that many women have either been through, heard about, or even talked about in this class. Around the world, in every country, violence against women is a problem. It is one of the most common violations of human rights. Women's rights are taken away when they suffer physical, sexual, and economic abuse. Women and girls of all ages and races are affected. It doesn't matter their culture, religion, women have rights too. Around the world, these are many different types of abuse. The differences come from different societies, religions, and cultures. The most common form of violence around the world is domestic and sexual violence. It then turns into harmful or deadly abuse. Okay, I'm going to talk about one specific woman, not here, but in the Middle East also, which is in Libya. Her name is Iman al-Obeidi. I don't know if y'all keep in touch with current events or what's going on with Libya or anywhere around the world, but she is a 29-year-old lawyer, and she has been gang raped by 15 of Gaddafi's men. 15, okay? That's what the media says, but we don't know if it's really 15 or more. She was completely gang raped by each because she wanted to speak out for the rights of herself and her family and to be able to fight for herself. She pleaded with foreign journalists for help, showing bruises and crying. Because Libya is at a prime location right now for media, we have journalists from all over the world that are actually in Libya to kind of understand what is going around, why this one man, which is known as Gaddafi, why he's abusing everyone in his own country. So she went to those journalists to tell them her story. In her words cannot express the courage Iman shows in speaking out, and we can only imagine the terror she must be facing right now in the hands of Gaddafi's infamous thug. Iman is reportedly no longer in the government custody, but her security remains at risk. Public pressure saved her life. Now let's make sure she gets back safely to her family. The reason why, as you can tell with the pictures, this is all the media that's behind her, and to try and see why it happened. She tells the journalist that she was raped, but from a woman's perspective, she says, they destroyed my reputation. They did not give me a chance to respond. The reason why, these are some quotes that have been saying, but I'm going to read out one that she said, many people, young men and women, come up to me in the street when they know I am Iman and tell me they admire my courage. The reason why she's being able to be addressed like that publicly is because she actually stood out. She was one person that was raped to get the courage for all the other women that wasn't able to speak out by being raped or murdered or that sake. The last thing, that they are trying to punish me as if I'm someone sort of enemy, and so I'm scared and I want to just go home, she says. The reason why being is that because she's been told that she's telling everyone that she's gang raped, but because Gaddafi wants to be in the limelight or to be the good person, he's saying that she was a prostitute and she used to work the streets to try to turn things around on her. This is the Libyan government spokesman, Musa Ibrahim, confirmed that Iman has been raped but alleged she was a prostitute with a criminal record of petty crime and indecency. However, Iman, who says she was a law graduate before the attack, bluntly denies Ibrahim's claims, still bearing scars and bruises. If you think about it from a woman's perspective, why would she lie? Why would she go to journalists and put her own reputation, her own image on the table, saying I got gang raped? Just so why? Obviously she's not a prostitute, because if she was, she wouldn't care if she was gang raped by 15. Obviously, well,
she works, she got money.
She's getting paid for it, but she's a law student. Sometimes looks can be deceiving, but you need to understand that in a Middle East country, women have no say. in anything. It's the men that take over everything. It's the men that have the rights for everything, and they take over. So obviously him being a man, he's not going to be like, okay, yeah, I accept my country has done this, and the government is responsible for this. He's obviously not going to do that, so he changed and said she was a prostitute. She claimed her attackers have been drinking alcohol, which they poured into her eyes, nose, mouth, and other parts of her body before she was gang raped. She was obviously tortured, she was beaten up, she was scarred. Everything you need to understand from a woman's perspective, being in a situation like she was, I wouldn't be able to tell, y'all wouldn't be able to tell what she really feels. We can only feel for her by hearing about it. So, as you can tell, these are the pictures where she was, the bottom one is where her mouth is covered, is because she's screaming the truth about who the men were, how they raped her, but they're covering her mouth obviously because they don't want to hear the truth. After authorities hauled Iman away from reporters, she says she was aggressively questioned for 72 hours with interrogators tossing food at her and dumping water on her face. They did not give me a chance to respond since she's been released, she said, and always stayed with her family in Tripoli. She ran away from the custody of the government because instead of, being on her side and trying to figure out, who did it, they want to turn it on her and question her, what was she doing, how did this happen? It was all because of you, it's your fault. So she actually ran away, and she's now actually on the run, looking to see if she can keep in contact with her family. When Iman exits the house, authorities arrest her but can't keep her at the police station because she hasn't been charged with a crime. She said she added that her reputation had been destroyed by official statements labeling her a drunken, mentally ill prostitute. Her father told CNN today that he didn't know where she was. The government has reiterated that she's been released and authorities don't know where her whereabouts are. Obviously, because if she's out in the public, she's going to be, being questioned or being arrested. Obviously, no charges, like I said. This one man, regardless if you've taken Mr. Hussan last semester, this semester, if you've heard a lot about Libya, it's only because of the pain and sufferings a Libyan would go through. We sit here and we have this life of, everything is fine, but then, this one man is responsible for so many different crimes that we just close our eyes about, or, we blindly think that, oh, you know what, oh well, or big deal, But this one man is responsible for, endless amount of rapes, endless amount of murders, endless amount of, complete negative thoughts towards the government. So as you can tell, I don't know about first impressions, but if I were to see him in person, I would be like, I don't want to ever meet you again. So the violence against women is not just in Middle East. Let me, assure you that, because it just doesn't happen within Muslims. It doesn't just happen within, black people. It doesn't happen within white people. It happens all over the world with every woman. As you all know, the famous Rihanna, and her story with Chris Brown. Even famous people go through this. As much as media tries to hide it for their image or for the amount of money they're making, these are women that go through it as well. Women who have been raped and, gang raped is not something you can be like, oh well, that happened yesterday, I'm going to move on. And, if you have that kind of attitude, hey, great for you. But that's something that's always going to stick inside of you. These are pictures of women that are being abused and are going through violence in relationships, in marriages, whatever it is. If he hits you, that's it. There's nothing to it. There's no, okay, he did it by accident. There's nothing like, oh, he didn't mean it. If you get hurt physically in a relationship, you shouldn't be in the relationship, obviously. Regardless of how much love he showers on you or whatever it is. It's famous people like her that gets that kind of attention, and she's able to, get over it soon enough to be able to move on to a different relationship or whatsoever. But it's people like us that, for us to not be in that